Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. This is a paid request for Joseph. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box. I'll get to it as soon as I can. And this is for In the Line of Duty 4. Now, for understand, you don't have to watch the other films to understand this. These are kind of films that stand alone, along with the others. Now, it stars Cynthia Khan. You also have Donnie Yen. You have Michael Wong. Now, Michael Wong, I've seen in a few stuff. He was in Knockoff with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's been in another film. I know he was in one with Michelle Yeoh. I forget what the film was called. And he's a guy that doesn't really know much about fighting, but he got cast in a decent amount of movies. Of high interest was Donnie Yen. It's an early role, but I believe this is after Tiger Cage 2, which is a film I did quite like. And it's read by Yuen Woo-ping. Yuen Woo-ping, who did the choreography on films like The Matrix, on many other films that doing martial arts choreography, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This is a time period where he was more directing. I think he had worked with Donnie Yen on Tiger Cage 2. Don't quote me on that, but this is one of those films that the plot is pretty secondary. But I will say, for a film that's 90 minutes long, this went at a hell of a pace. Like, it wasn't too long in between that another action and another fight scene happens. And so, yeah, the plot you can vaguely follow. Something about there's these dirty CIA agents. A deal goes down. A cop takes pictures, gets shot at, gets wounded by one of the dirty CIA guys. The cop's dying, finds this guy who works around the docks, gives him the film, the negatives, I should say. And then that guy gets framed for a crime he didn't commit, is chased. I think it's in Seattle when it begins. Then he decides to go back to Hong Kong. Someone close to him gets killed before he gets over there. And then you have two cops. You have Cynthia Khan, and then you have Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is more of the hot-headed cop who adamantly believes this guy did it. Cynthia is much more sensitive and going, well, wait a minute, there may be something more to it than meets the eye. Ultimately, they find out that guy didn't do it, so they need to protect him. They find out that there's some cops within their precinct that may be on the take, so a couple of double crosses. And you did a lot of fighting. A lot of fighting. And that's really what you go into this. You're not going this for the story. The characters don't really have a lot of room to breathe in terms of, like, if you're asking me, name me 3 things about Cynthia or Donnie Yen, about their characters or their backstory or where they come from, I could tell you. But I will say, if you like martial arts, this is definitely a fun film. This is just a series and flurries of great action pieces. Some good stunt work. Wonderful movie to watch to show Donnie Yen's agility, to show what he could do in a fight. If you're a fan of Donnie Yen, if you like Donnie Yen, this is definitely a movie to watch. Tiger Cage 2 in this film really shows him in his prime. And it's just this series of action pieces kind of strung together by a loose plot. But again, that makes for a pretty fast-paced 90-minute movie. I will say that. I was never bored. It was a lot of fun to watch. Whether it be early on where Cynthia Khan's undercover and meets this guy who will soon be the guy framed. And she's like helping him and this other guy out. And there's like wrenches or like nunchucks, and she and this guy are dueling crowbar fight. There are times where it seems like Donnie and Cynthia are going to get into a fight. They fight a little bit. Donnie fights the guy who he thinks shot the cop. There's a chase scene where Cynthia is hanging on to a vehicle, and there's bits like she's running on the side of the vehicle. And you see like wide shots that's really her on the outside, her feet are barely touching the ground. And then you see wide shots where she's like in front of the vehicle, ready to get under or be rolled right the fuck under. This is one bit where Donnie chases this assassin, and you have like it's outside these stairs, but it's kind of like an alleyway as well. And the assassin kind of acting all spastic and like going all kind of over the top. And then Donnie Yen's more centered and doing just beautiful tits and 360 tits and just fast and quick and precise. There are points where Donnie Yen's kicking people off of motorcycles. There are points where they're both on motorcycles and they both have shovels and they get like a shovel fight while they're both on motorcycles. Or during the fight, like he's shoving the other guy against the wall and the bike of the bad guy's going up across the wall. And I think good stunt work that they can only do over there, because around here it's like they won't allow that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, there's little moments of breather room where they're wondering whether this guy's guilty or not guilty, or Cynthia allows this guy to see his mom, but they're trying to make it easier on her, so the guy's handcuffed to her, but they keep hiding it so that the guy can save face with his mom. So like the mom thinks they're, oh, you married this girl, you don't get married to her, and they're hiding this handcuffs over here, over there, behind them. They try to do the best they can. So it's a nice kind of, I guess you call choreography, staging of just how long to hide a handcuffed pair without getting too ridiculous. Like I say, it's a movie that's not really there for the plot. It's just have a series and flurries of action throughout that can really get your blood pumping. And I gotta say, I mean, they really do. It's funny with these martial arts films, you kind of take it for granted in a way, because I guess in a weird way, like you expect it. But like you see action films in America or other stuff that don't have nearly the amount of action, or when fight scenes happen, they don't nearly have the amount of choreography or expertise that these do. And yet those are littered as bigger, more prominent action films or action classics. And yet a film like Tiger Cage 2 or In the Line of Duty 4 is not well known in the mainstream unless you're a big action fan, like maybe some people watching this. You kind of wonder why that is the case. Now maybe in the case here it's because like the story, the plot, the stuff around the fight scenes are very, very second or third tier. Some may even say subpar in terms of a story or stuff. I'll admit there are times where I almost kind of like, well, what's going on now? Wait, who? What's going on? Because the plot felt so flimsy that I was at times getting kind of confused as to, well, what's going on here now? And wait, how did this person get over here? And wait, how did they find where this person's at? Wait, what's going on? Oh, okay, they said there's one little dialogue, and then it's like on the positive, it makes so that the action goes by pretty fast and fluent. But does it sacrifice the narrative for that? Sure. So it just depends. Of course, the classic films like Die Hard, they melt the two. You know, there's great action set pieces, but then there's also an interesting plot with a great villain and fun dialogue. I wouldn't say there's any memorable dialogue I'd think of in this, or Again, you don't really get to know much about the characters, except maybe the guy who's framed. Because again, you get to see moments with him and his mom, and then his, I forget if it was his buddy or his brother when he was in Seattle. I can't remember if it might have been his buddy. I think it was his buddy. Just that probably when he saw his mom, that probably would have come up. Oh yeah, my brother, your other son. So his buddy, which spoiler does get killed. So he has a little bit more of a character. But like Donnie Yen and Cynthia Khan. And Cynthia Khan, I can't remember what else she's been in, but I liked her. She, there are once in a while you could tell if there's a certain move or a certain stunt that either she could not do or she wasn't allowed to do. You tell that it was a guy in women's clothing that took this one hit or this one stunt or did this one move. So once in a while you'll notice that, like, oh, because it's like her back to the camera and, well, okay, her build is a bit different and she seems a bit bigger. That's because it's a guy wearing it. But that happens every once in a while. You still see her do a lot of stuff. And again, that's what makes you surprising, like the stuff with the vehicle. Like, she's really by the side of it. Like, her feet barely touching the ground. She's really in front of it. And you can tell they're on the road. And one false move, she don't run the fuck over. And that's the thing. I mean, that's why it's cool seeing films like this or Tiger Cage 2 or and other stuff for the first time. That one with, was a Royal Warriors or I can't remember. The one with Michelle Yeoh and the guy who was in Bullet Train and God, I can't remember his name. I'm bad with names. Was it called Royal Warrior? I forget. Again, I'm bad with names, but that's why it's nice to find this stuff because there's a lot of gems out there that, again, if you're a hardcore martial arts fan, you may know, but it's not really in the mainstream. It's not really talked about. And you watch it, you go, man, this is like better, crazier action and choreography and craziness that a lot of American films that got more prominence, a lot better than what they, like, they get more accolades, but these guys are doing a bit better. But I mean, that's the thing with Hong Kong and other, it's like action was first and foremost. They really cared about the action, and yeah, the story and other stuff may suffer for it, but they really cared. It really put a lot of effort, which I appreciate that. And then, I mean, granted, yes, the best of both worlds is to have a strong narrative and a strong action series of set pieces, but I'd rather have a film have a lot of action and a weak story. Well, it depends. I mean, there are films that have a great, like First Blood has a great, to me, narrative. Not a ton of action, and put first. I guess it depends. It depends how well it's made, of course. Because I was going to say, well, I'd rather have more action and less story than more story and less action. But I guess it depends how good they do that. But I guess, I mean, I'm an action junkie, so usually I want to go for the more action potent quality of that. My favorite bit in the movie is definitely the rooftop fight between Donnie Yen and this guy named Michael Woods, who kind of remind me a little bit of Steve James. Like, he kind of looks like Steve James and has a big build. He's wearing this red t-shirt. So you may have seen pictures or referenced and when people talk about this stuff, but that's easily to be the best fight in the movie. Just like Donnie Yen's doing all these moves and Michael Woods just keeps coming at him and using his strength while Donnie's using his speed and agility, and it's a great fight. I don't really want to give details away for those who haven't seen it, but it's definitely a great bout of speed versus strength, and again, it really just shows Donnie Yen's what Donnie Yen's ability, what he's capable of. Michael Wong does fine. I mean, again, he's not much of anything in terms of an action star. Pretty much every fight, well, not most of the time if there's a fight, he needs doubled. Like he can do maybe a couple little things here and there, but he's known more for, I guess, his looks. But yeah, you're not. He's not really got you cast to be the big fighter or anything. Trying to think. Like I said, the story isn't much, but the action is satisfying for if you're ever a fan, if ever want to see. How am I worded? If you haven't seen this film and you love more shorts movies, it's definitely worth a look for that. You want to see a lot of kick-ass action, a lot of fight scenes, see Donnie Yen in his prime, definitely worth a look for that. So, did I? I'm not sure. I might still put Tiger Cage 2 above this. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch that film again, but definitely nice to see is because that cover, I had seen that cover many times throughout the years, but just never got around to it. So now, thanks to Joseph, I'm able to see it and enjoyed it. Had a good time. Like I said, definitely one of the more fast-paced 9 minutes you'll see. So there's that. If you want to have a good time, a lot of action, definitely worth a look on that. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.